Hello and welcome to Conair's Make Every Pellet Count podcast. We're your trusted source in auxiliary equipment for plastics and the plastics industry. I'm Steve, and today I have my colleagues Tom and Jason joining me. And our guest today is Jeff Applegate from Texas Injection Molding in Houston, Texas. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Steve.
So just to start us off, can you give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you got into the plastics industry?
Well, sure. I think I started from a business, say, turnaround management, mostly driven by sales. I'd done a couple different businesses and then that were non-plastics related, maybe on the plastic sheeting, extruded sheets, but then was working in the in-mold decorating space back in the 90s, late 90s, and doing print, form, and trim on films, and we're working with a lot of injection molding companies to supply those for people like Nokia and Motorola, and really became intrigued with the molding business. And so I had the opportunity to come in and kind of lead a rebuilding of a molding company, and after 10 years of that, had the next opportunity to go do it on my own, and started Texas Injection Molding, and from there we've been doing this for about 10 years, and been a lot of fun, and learned a lot, and great to have partners like Conair that support us through this journey.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah. So you gave us a little bit of background on Texas Injection Molding. So you said that it's about 10 years old, and can you give us a little bit of background on like the company and the culture and what it's like to work there?
Yeah, sure. So we really started it, as kind of I'd worked for companies and like I said, we chased some pretty large brands around the world. We traveled, chasing the computer industry and the telecommunication industry around the world. Really said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to live on airplanes anymore. I really feel like the injection molding business can be a regional custom business. It's really a service business. And so I started off with kind of the vision saying I want to really have the best mid-size, middle market plastic injection molding company in the kind of South Central United States. I wanted to know every customer. I wanted to know every vendor. I wanted to know every supplier. And I wanted to have a good quality of life, making cool stuff for people I like. That was really what it was about. And I said I wanted to keep it under 100 employees. It was kind of my goal, but that lasted about 3 years, and we broke that goal, and then had to decide what do we do from there. We can get into that later when we built this facility. We have a strategy where it's pretty simple: people, process, and technology. We hire the best people we can find. We have manufacturing processes that we try to make that are repeatable. So we provide consistently good quality parts to our customers, and then we give our people the technology and the tools to do their job. And that's my commitment to them is that I'm gonna do everything I can do and give you every tool that you need to make sure that you can hit that process and control the process, whether it be the manufacturing, the actual injection molding machines, the quality of the materials, the quality of the molds, the support on the molds, all the material handling, and the process water and everything that goes with it. So that's been a journey from a startup to continuous growth. And so we take that strategy of people, process, and technology, and we try to wrap a culture around that, where if I can get my people to genuinely respect each other and care for each other, everything else takes care of itself. So I think it starts with me and our leadership team, and we do a lot of things to build culture. And I think the difference between a good company and a great company, that magic in the bottle or secret sauce, is the culture. And that's a big part of what drives our business planning and what we're doing every day, is how we treat people. And it's worked out so far. We've got a great team. We've got relatively low turnover, and our strategy of people, process, and technology has not changed since day one. So you're right. We've been doing this for going on 11 years, and doing well.
That's great. Hey, I got a quick question for you, Jeff. Just a little bit more on your company. How many molding machines, and what are the ranges of the sizes?
So yeah, we it's changing every day. We just got another machine in yesterday. I think we're at 31, 30 injection molding machines and one blow molding machine, and we go from 55 tons to like 1,345 tons, whatever. I think it's 1,200 metric tons. Is the largest machine that we have.
And last question, what is the coolest customer, not to put you on the spot, what's the coolest customer that you have? And that's not to say your other customers that might be listening aren't cool, but.
Well, let's see. I think that, we make sport courts. And so, I think being somebody that loved, playing sports my whole life, just to see, and to see them out, whether it be a pickleball court or a volleyball court or whatever, to see them out there. So we do sport courts. A lot of the other stuff is really industrial or a component in another, so it's not quite as sexy. But that's we don't make many finished products that go straight to the consumer. They do some painting of lines, and they'll do some custom graphics and logos on it. So that's a pretty cool, they mix and match colors, and they've been a really a fun customer, a customer that we've been doing business with since we started Texas Injection Molding.
Excellent. Hey, Jeff, wanted to ask you a little bit about the project. I know, you built your new facility there and moved in, started moving in 2020, and we were fortunate enough to partner with you on your material handling system, both conveying and storage, and then the water system as well. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about the projects that you've been involved with there at Texas Injection Molding and Conair. So.
Yeah, so we, as we grew, started the company with buying a smaller company called B-Side Plastics, and we inherited what they had, and then we, we had to build our tool shop, build our quality systems, build our ERP systems, and we always had this. We kind of knew where we were going, and as we got to looking at designing and building a new factory, I think we learned we had the disadvantages of having only limited chilled water, and then tower water that had inadequate volume of water going through, and we pushed it way beyond its capacity. The quality of the water wasn't good. The pressure, the temperatures was not consistent. So that led to a lot of challenges in the water cooling, both in the heat exchangers in the machines to the molds that had a lot of maintenance that was required. So we knew from whether it was material drying, quality of the material, temperature of the material, we knew, in that people process technology, we knew the areas that we struggled with firsthand and knew where we wanted to go. So we were fortunate, and we have a part of an organization called MAP, Manufacturing Association of Plastic Professionals, and really, they're just a great group of guys that collaborate, and have opened their plants up. And we had the chance to visit a number of different plants and talk about what worked and what didn't work. And so we as we went through those plants, we saw some folks that have kind of gone in with Conair and had outfitted their plants, and talked with them about their experience, and began working with you guys, and we worked with Brand X as well. And but ended up decided to go all in with Conair, and so we put as we designed this plant, you guys were helpful as we were laying out the building, and we were elevating we wanted to use the space as efficiently as we could. So we have our condenser outside, we have our chiller is on a mezzanine, so we're piping the water up, vertically up, and we're pumping it around the facility. We wanted to have capacity to expand, and so you guys helped us specify, design, and engineer really our plant as far as the water system goes. And we did the same thing for material handling. We did not. We were putting we had material at the machines, and we're vacuuming it out of boxes in the machines, where you had a cluttered manufacturing floor with boxes of material around and hoses into them, and having material handlers running from machine to machine, trying to make sure they don't run out. And so we also had dryers at the machine. So by working with you guys to do central material handling, we have one central room where one guy can manage the whole plant. And so we've got all the dryers are in there, all of the material is there. We've also have silos that we purchased from Conair. And so we were a little nervous, to be honest, about the whole central material handling. We just looked at that and go, man, if something can go wrong, it will. It scared all of us, but we've been running it for 4 years, and it really hasn't. It's been amazing as far as the no clutter, the no downtime. We're able to keep up with all the machines, the resin selection systems, the barcode tracking that we use. We tie it into the Delmia Works, our IQMS system, so it's all of our lot controls, and our bombs are barcoded. So we go to resin selection. We scan the material, we scan the resin selector, we make sure the right resin is going to the right material, the right machine. So it's worked really well for us, and you guys have been, as we've grown and we've added machines, and it's nice when you're not mixing and matching. I think when we still have from our legacy maybe a few different pieces of mix and match equipment that's left over, but we don't have to think about it. You just know, and you just plug and play, and you expand if this works on. We added 25,000 square feet this year, and you were able to come in and help us expand the water and material handling system, and now we always had it in our plan. When we were in the other plant, we had a bunch of dryers. We're like, we don't want to. We've got this investment in dryers. We're already struggling to build this plant. How can we leverage our investment? And so you guys worked with us to utilize our existing dryers. We have them up on a mezzanine. But now we're looking at, as we add large, we've got a number of machines we've added that are 1,000 tons or greater. And so we're running, we run a lot of glass filled nylon. So, drying is a huge, important factor, and we just need larger hoppers and larger drying capacity to keep up with it. So our guys would come to me and say, hey, we want to invest money. We need to go buy some more hoppers. We need to buy more dryers. And I'm like, we always had the plan. We knew we were going to go, eventually I said, well, why am I going to go spend money on buying 3 or 4 dryers and oversized big hoppers? If we're going to do this, we should look at, the next phase of our plan, which is to put central drying system in, which not only will give us a drying capacity, but it's just going to ensure that we get material as it goes through the conveying system, not picking up moisture, which sometimes happens. So there's some things that we, kind of phase 1, phase 2 that we're planning to do, and we're in the midst of right now. But it's been our experience with Conair has been great from a design engineering support, and the performance of the equipment's been good. So we don't claim to be the technologists on that area, but it's really good to have somebody support us in those. Really, that I'm trying to follow up on our commitment to give the people the technology and the tools, and so material handling and water drying are central to making sure that those guys have what they need to make good parts.
Have you ever seen or have you experienced where you might earn a new customer based on the central system and some of the proofing that you have?
I don't know that there's I can point to a specific customer that says, well, you've got a Conair system, we're gonna give you our business. But it's been I think when they come in, what we may not have anticipated, but there's not a lot of large custom manufacturers that have ISO, they have the full-blown ERP systems, they have the in-house tool shops, and then they have the capacity of the plant. So when these, what I've seen is larger OEMs, when they're coming, they walk into our plant and they see the material handling system, they see the water system, and if they get it, and if they don't get it, it's pretty easy to get them to where they understand the advantages, and they see the order of the shop, the design, the layout, the cleanliness of it. We won a lot of business just because, if you just get them in the building, that they see it and they can feel it, and all of that goes together to instill confidence in the whole process and what we're doing.
Great. Yeah, I commend you. It's a beautiful facility you guys built there, and we're really happy to be a partner. I can remember back 2019 or around that time frame when we started talking about the project and helping, and you guys truly did stick with that value of getting the technology. I know we were talking your chiller system, for example, where you opted to do away with the tower and go with a remote condensed chilled water system only, and things like that. The material handling, it's very nice. One of the things I was thinking about with your project is that it was actually a first I wouldn't say a first, but it was new for us at the time to have our crew do the installation of both the material handling and the water. We've had crews doing installation of material handling for years, but to have the same crew to be able to install both while they're on site and taking advantage of the efficiency of that and having a true turnkey project. Anything that comes to mind for you as far as how that all went, the installation process, the project management, and everything that Conair offered?
We were building it. We were still operating in the other facility when we were putting all the systems in here. So it was nice to have an empty building to work in, and so your guys had free roam and could bring their equipment in, could work on what they weren't stopped. If you're trying to work within a production environment, there's a lot of obstacles that can start and stop you. But no, your guys, they pulled up. They did the work, everything from the silos to the surge bins to the handling systems to the water systems, all the piping. It was good. The training, they were when our guys, particularly the material handling system, I think everybody was intimidated by it, but the Conair folks that came in did an excellent job in alleviating their fears and showing them how to work it, and were available as we had questions down the road. So no, it was good, but it was really nice to be able to build it in kind of a controlled environment where we got free access and weren't competing with production.
You bet.
Thank you. Tom, I don't know if you had anything else to add. I can.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Or you guys?
Going based off the light ups because we're on Teams. Anytime anybody moves, they illuminate. But,
no, it was an accident. So
no, you're good.
So Jeff, how about on the drying system? What kinds of resins do you guys dry? And is it a wide range or is it pretty specific?
As a custom molder, man, we're running everything. We run, TPO, TPE, TPU. We run a lot of ABS, polycarbonate, all kinds of filled nylons. And so it's every day. I don't know how, on a given day, if we're running 27, 28 machines, we might be running 15 different resins. So it's a truly custom shop. So from a complexity in manufacturing, it's when you start looking at a number of tools, number of resins, number of colors, which also have to be dried, to the quality requirements. Some of them are, you have, there may be a medical part, you have lots of documentation, to others that are going to be used in construction and just need to be a full shot. There's so much diversity. It is quite amazing. It's not for the, I should tell others, it's not this custom manufacturing like this at scale is not for the faint at heart. There's a lot easier way to do it, but I love it. I mean, when we can go out on a given day and there's 27 different parts being run, and the next day you got a whole different batch, not exactly, but a big number of products that are being changed out. So we're doing, a lot of mold changes every day, and we run 24 hours. So it's complex, it's fast paced, and the ability to dry and know how to dry and have the equipment to dry just anything that comes our way. The biggest areas we run into issues with now is we outrun the dryers, and that's why we're talking to you now about getting more CFM and larger hoppers.
Are you a climate controlled facility?
Yes, in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
Starting off for the first 9 years or 8 years, or where it was, we were not. And I mean, my gosh, if you the humidity when you're running chilled water, the amount of humidity that's raining out the pipes and raining off the molds is not good for machines, not good for molds, and it's terrible. So yeah, we are really blessed to have a climate controlled facility, and in Houston, I can't. Well, and I'd say if you go back to the first to our strategy, people, process, and technology, that drives every aspect of our business plan. So if you want to attract the best people, it's pretty clear what you got to do. I mean, first off, we had to have a bathroom that was suitable for both men and women. We had one bathroom when we first started, and so, building a men's and a women's bathroom, and it needed to be air conditioned. So put window units in it. I mean, so we started at the very basics, and having a lunchroom that's clean or, nice place to eat. But, if you're going to attract people, when it comes down to, your 401k and your healthcare benefits and your work environment. And so having a orderly work environment, having it climate controlled, having the technology and tools to do your job, especially if you're trying to get some of the technical folks you're trying to recruit them to come work here versus someplace else. I remember, in the early days, I mean, it was not a place that, you're trying to attract a top process tech and get them to move across the country because you need that person. And they're like, am I going to work in literally at the roof? It was 142 degrees in the roof, when we shoot the roof. It may be 92. It's 90. The day I remember, it's 92 degrees outside, and at the roof it's 142. So, it was 100 plus degrees, and getting people to work in that, it's hard to get the best people. So it's been a journey, but from a business planning standpoint, pretty clear. If you want to have the best people, these are things you got to have, which includes the technology, the tools, the air conditioning. If you want to give them the right process, you've got to have, the machines can't be sweating all over the place and shorting out, hot runner systems, and you got to have all the pieces of the puzzle. And it's, if you don't have a Fortune 100 company just piling money on you, it takes some time. It takes some commitment to doing what you need to do to point us in the right direction and just kind of march down. So yes, I do have climate control, and I'd never go back the other way.
So even in Houston, with all the humidity though and the drying, no problems with the Conair dryers, with the wheel technology.
No, we don't. Our drying problem is not with the dryers at all. And we do have a lot of humidity. I mean, if you leave material in the warehouse, which we have an unair conditioned warehouse, if a lot of times our nylons and urethanes, they'll come in foil sealed bags. If you store the material for a long period of time with where it has access to the atmosphere, it can take a long time to dry it. And we've had stuff where, some customers supplied material that sat in their warehouse in Houston for a year or more that we just couldn't get dry. But there is some of that some of these nylons, they'll pick up so much moisture, you just can't get it out. But that's extreme. When we get it, we generally don't have any drying issues. The issues I mentioned before, we have a little, we'll pick up some moisture in the material handling system, which we're going to fix by drying that air. And we outrun it. We know, we'll daisy chain dryers together just because, we're running more pounds per hour than we have time to dry it. And but it's not an issue with drying, drying capability. It's more drying capacity that we have as far as hoppers and how fast we're running through material. And we have a standard. We check the material usually every hour. So we're taking samples of material, bringing it in, and running it under I can't remember right now the name of the machine, but it takes the moisture content in the material and tells us. So we have a standard of what it needs to be, and if it doesn't hit that standard, then we got to shut it down until we get there. And so we've got checks and balances in place to make sure that the material is as it's supposed to be. So even if it looks good, we know it's going to perform to the specifications as well.
Excellent.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so thank you again, Jeff. An important philosophy for us at Conair is the idea to make every pellet count. I don't know if you can speak to any processes or initiatives that Texas Injection Molding has in sustainability efforts.
That's an interesting question. If you're running all of one material, it's pretty easy. We find we're running on average about 2.5% scrap. Well, when you run 2.5% scrap and you're running lots of different materials, and then you take those materials, you grind them up in the grinding room, and then you've got a regrind, which is now a new part number. And if you didn't consume it at the machine, you're going to put it back in inventory, and then you got to have your BOM to accept blend. So you got to, then next time you run that job, it'll call for a certain amount of regrind and a certain amount of virgin, and you got to blend it and put it at the press. And there's just a lot of effort. So when you look at sustainability, I think we all want to do the right thing. But when you look at it from a dollar and cents step, in the way that we're doing it, the number of different materials, the quantity of regrind we have, and we've talked to a number of companies, and they say, well, we want you to segregate it, and we want to have, minimum of, 20,000 pounds of this material before we'll come pick it up. And it's just both the space, the labor. We had, three people running on 3 shifts, just, running in the regrind, and then just maintaining, keeping up with it just doesn't make sense. And so we've struggled. I mean, that's just to be real honest. I think where we've got large runner systems, we're running grinders at the machine and then sucking it right back up and blending it. So we look at if we've got a higher scrap percentage because it's sometimes the runners are larger than the parts. If they're real small parts and multi-cavity. So, but we'll grind the runners and we'll consume those there. And so that's what we're doing now. We've been working recently with waste management, just trying to figure out, how can we, from a cardboard and a plastic, how can we do this that makes sense for both the environment and that makes sense from a bottom line? It makes sense. And it's so we have a sustainability goals of the company, and we're constantly working towards those goals. But I think the type of business that we have makes it challenging, and I'll see it because if I check the dumpster and I see you'll see that there's a lot, there's a bunch of parts in there. I'm like, it just doesn't feel good to see that. And so, but it is stuff that we're constantly trying to figure it out and looking. So if anybody's watching this podcast and says that have an idea for picking up 15 different materials in small quantities and can figure out a way to make it cost effective, we'd be all ears for that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hypothetical, if a new team member or a new employee were considering an auxiliary equipment purchase, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think it's, I like the Southwest Airlines where they have all Boeing 737. If you got a bunch of airplanes in the fleet, they can swap out planes, swap out parts. It just makes a lot easier for maintenance. So we try to do that on our injection molding machines. We're not all with one brand, but we kind of driven down on 2 different brands. On our auxiliary equipment, at least with the drying and the material handling, we settled on Conair. And so, yeah, if someone wants to introduce something into the mix that's different, parts don't match, service doesn't match. It adds a lot. I don't know that you could come up with a reason why that you would want to introduce something into a system that was not like the others. So that's our philosophy. We do have different brands. Once you get beyond where some of the guys have made different choices on whether color feeders or whatever. Some like liquid, some like pelletized color feeders, and so we've given them some of that flexibility, but usually they have a pretty good argument as to what they're going to do and why they do it when they turn into requisition. But as a general rule, we're going to stick to one brand, and we've had situations where the brand they were acquired. I won't name the brand, but there's a brand that we started off with. We liked it. They were U.S. made, and they were acquired, and they were rolled up into a bigger group, and all the service people left, and our ability to get parts was sketchy at best, and so we decided, and it's expensive to switch over because now I've got a mixed bag of some of these machines, and we're trying to cycle those machines out of the building over time, so that we can be central. That's just I think a good strategy for any business.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Jeff. Give you a chance for a moment to give a shout out. So, is there anybody you've worked with, anybody your team, external, that you'd like to thank for you and your company's success?
Oh man, I mean everybody here. I mean, I can tell you, I know the least about plastics in the company that I couldn't turn a machine on, but I have a lot of guys named Luis that being in Houston, Texas, there's a lot of guys named Luis. So we've got a lot of Luises that I can thank. My warehouse manager, Oscar, he's been with us since day one and has grown with the company. And it's really fun to see people that have the right attitude and that start off with poor work environment, and they put the time in, they put the effort in, they grow with the business, and it's fun to see as the business prospers, to see these people prosper. So I've got so many people internally that we work together. People is everything, and nothing happens without people. You can have a beautiful facility and all the greatest equipment, but it doesn't mean nothing if you don't have great people. And so that would be my shout out to all those. And then since I'm here talking with the Conair folks, I said Jason's been really great. Tom and just the whole technical crew behind the scenes have been really great to work with, and have helped us along the way and consulted with us and educated us, and it really opened up, enabled even some of your customers where you opened up doors, and we went to go see I won't name, I guess, a facility in Louisiana that was also using a lot of Conair. And I think we've sent probably 3 or 4 different trips. Have sent teams of people that go down there, whether they're maintenance crews or production crews, to go see how they did it. Because I wanted them to see the vision of where we were trying to go. Because I had been there and toured their facility with Matt, and I said, you guys need to see how they do it. And so we appreciate you guys, opening the doors and allowing us to visit some of those other facilities.
Thank you, Jeff. That is great. So I just want to take the time to thank you for joining us today. This was very informative, and we hope everybody listening also enjoyed it. And again, from everyone at Conair, we greatly appreciate the partnership with you and Texas Injection Molding, and we wish you future success and hope to speak again soon. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jason, for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoyed it, and appreciate your help.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.